Conversations with Selwyn.
Wonderful. This is an amazing journey of following one's call, being obedient to one's call, and even in the place where you are asked to minister, where there seems like there's no provision. I took special note when you mentioned the native there who was building the beds. And sometimes the provision that God has for us in areas of need is actually right there.
But the beautiful thing about that is, after he made those furnishings for me, our doctors came and asked me, where did you get these things? I said, well, we drew it on paper and had them made in a box. He said, what? We are foolish. We are fools. We are importing these things from abroad,
Right.
and we could have them made right here.
Right.
So now the fellow has developed his business. When I saw him in 1999, he was employing 30 people in his
Wow.
business.
That's tremendous.
It's called Major. And now he's supplying West African hospitals and clinics with furnishings.
So your obedience not only led to patient care, but it also led to the growth of an entrepreneur
Yes,
and all of the different industries he would impact.
that's right.
His own family was fed,
Yes,
the employees fed.
yes,
This is nothing but the work of the Lord that flourishes in so many different ways. But you have to be willing
willing.
to follow
You have to
the word
listen.
of the Lord.
You have to listen.
Yeah.
And on top of it, the girls that helped me, I trained them. They belong to the church, and I trained them myself. So that in itself provided employment in the church.
Yes. Wow. So after your days of being a missionary with Dad in Africa, when that came to a close and administrative appointments opened up in the United Kingdom, I noticed that passion and that desire for care for people and for seniors did not go away. Even with all of the administrative responsibilities placed on you, that passion and that call did not go away. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you started in England?
When we went to England, we realized that a lot of people that were younger when we went there are now senior citizens. Several of them had no home of their own. They were the ones that scrubbed the hospital floors on their knees with scrubbing brushes and bars of soap. They're the ones that worked on the train station. Some their families got killed. Like the women, their husbands got killed on the train line. Some worked in the coal mines. Now the time has come, they're old, they cannot have good places to sleep. So I met this lady, and her name was Kay Leverington. I hope she's still alive, and if she can have a hand on this would be so beautiful. Kay had an ear to the royal family. She had a line straight to His Royal Highness Prince Charles. And she belonged to a housing association of which he was the royal patron. Kay told me that she could petition help from the Abbeyfield Housing Association so that we could put up housing for the elderly.
Yes.
What my husband inherited 1983, I think it was, 84, was this mansion in Overstone, 126 rooms, 40 bathrooms and toilets, seated in 32.5 acres of land.
Yes.
At that time, I think 80% of the building was dry rot and wet rot. So I took Kay there and we talked. And she suggested that we could lease off a piece of the building
Yes.
and put in an application for funding so that we could put about 11, over there we call it flats,
Yes.
apartments
Yes.
for the senior citizens. When she explained to me, she said you would have a housekeeper's flat at the top, and the housekeeper should have the best furniture, the best of everything. You have a common kitchen and dining room, and a special bathroom for the disabled. And when she did the costing, came up to, I think, 300,000 pounds sterling. She helped me to put in the application. When the time came for the building for the money to be freed up, one of the officers came. They didn't want to do it. The officers came.
He's a government officer?
Yes,
Okay.
Housing Corporation.
Housing Corporation officer.
He came, and by this time I had sent out the work to bidders, contractors, and I chose the one that brought in his bid closer to the money that was agreed to,
Okay.
approved.
Yes.
So when the officer came, he took the contractor to the top of the building where there was what you call a kingpin,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "What are you going to do with this kingpin?" The man said, "We'll have to remove it because there's a whole lot of rottenness around it." He said, "You're going to remove the kingpin?" He said, "Yes, we have to." He said, "Oh, I see." Then he came down to me and he said, "Joyce, this is what your contractor said. He's going to remove the kingpin. If he removes the kingpin, the whole thing is going to collapse. You know what? I think you should go back out to tender." By this time, what he was doing, he was giving the money to somebody else.
Try to delay the project.
Yes.
Mm.
So it slipped away from me. I waited 3 years. And the third year, they called me in, but I had a few days off. So they waited till I was off. They called meeting. So I broke my day off.
Mhm.
He's off. And I went to the meeting. When I got there, everybody was drinking coffee or tea. I said, "Please give me something cold." But the night before, the Lord spoke to me and said, "Don't think of what you're going to say. I will speak to you."
Mm-hmm.
When I got there, they said, "What would you like, Joyce?" I said, "Something cold, please." They gave me a glass of milk. I pushed it away. The director, "Joyce, we know that you have a very, very strong passion for this project, and you have done a lot to bring it to where it is. You have raised the basic amount of money that was needed to start it up from the church.
Yeah.
But Joyce, we're sorry to let you know that we'll not be able to go through with it." I said, "What? You brought me out of my day off to come and sit before you to hear this?
Mm.
I don't need a home. I have a home. You have a home. The carpet under your feet are good. You have good windows and doors. But these people, their carpets are tearing up under their feet. Their windows are breaking out, and the boys are breaking in and raping the old women." I said, "We cannot have this. These are the people that served the country after the war. I was in training when I was stepping over them, scrubbing the hospital floors on their knees with soda soap. These people deserve good accommodation. That's why I'm here. I'm not coming here for anything for myself."
Mm.
They were quiet. The Lord was working with me.
Yes.
And after they listened, the director said, "All right, guys, fellows, meeting is over."
Mhm.
And he said, Okay, Joyce, you can go. While I was going through the door, the regional accountant said, "See you later, Joyce." I didn't know what it meant. I said, "Okay, Roger." The next morning, the letter came from the office. I was trembling. When I opened it, project approved.
Ah, yes.
I quickly got to the architect.
Mhm.
The architect came down and he said to me, "Joyce, they're not going to throw this one down the drain. I will stand with you tooth and nail." And he began drawing and drawing and drawing and prepare meticulously. Do you know the money almost doubled?
Wow.
It was more than double, £700,000.
Mm.
In the meantime, Bishop Nelson had one in London,
Yes.
and Brixton wanted to fight to take that to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the Housing Corporation is saying you'll have to bring that under yourself too.
Yeah.
So that didn't make Brixton happy.
Right.
But nonetheless, I got the two of them, another 3,000. So the two came up to over £1 million.
Over £1 million.
Yes, and we're able to complete 2 senior citizens' homes with lift inside.
Elevator, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I designed the furniture myself
Mm-hmm.
and ordered the color scheme, everything,
Mm-hmm.
and had that completed, had it furnished with tenants inside, residents inside.
Yes. Yes.
So it's a brand new
Mm-hmm.
part of the building.
And well, you shared so much with us, and one of the things that I picked out just from listening to you, you just continue to follow the same call and passion that God gave you. It didn't leave when you stepped into different administrative roles. It was something that God put on the inside of you that would not die. And that's what guided you in the areas of ministry, that you've invested your time, your money, your resources.
And that's social ministry.
Social ministry.
But then the spiritual aspect, because I had to build up the women's department in England.
Mm-hmm.
The women's auxiliary just exploded. And they had the little joy bells and the young ladies ministries, and then there was an age group between 19 and 30 that they were sitters back and criticizers of the pastors who were uneducated.
Mm-hmm.
And they were college graduates, some were nurses, some were doctors, secretaries, lawyers, what have you. So they felt the pastors weren't qualified to preach to them because
Right.
they weren't trained.
Mm-hmm.
But they wouldn't go anywhere else. They would be at church,
Yeah, they
sitting
stayed.
at the back.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Lord, you have to give me a program." And the Spirit of the Lord woke me up one morning about 2 a.m. And he said, "Take your notebook and begin to write." And I got my notebook and I started writing. What the Lord said to me, he said, "Whatever you learned at Lee College, you put it into practice,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll succeed."
Mm-hmm.
So I majored in Christian education and did the various age groups and laid out the program for the various age groups. And in addition, I put in craft so that the women would learn, those who don't know would learn, and those who knew would teach.
Right.
And then I worked out a training course for my presidents that they may be more effective. And in doing so, the local groups just exploded. I taught them what to do to raise funds. And those women accepted it so much, so well.
Yes.
I taught them to go into the homes and get out the babies. I said, follow the babies that are dedicated at your church altar. Follow them with powder and napkin pins. And you will see that the mothers will follow their babies wherever they go.
Yes.
And it happened. And I had one senior pastor's wife who told me, she said, "I never knew it could work like this.
So your women's ministry efforts impacted the Sunday school,
The Sunday school,
which impacted the youth ministry,
the whole church,
which impacted the future growth and
Of the
leadership
church.
of the church.
yes.
So let's say this now. What advice would you give to young women today who have a passion and a desire, but sometimes they run into roadblocks? Things are only expected of them at a certain level, but they have a desire to do much more. What would you say to young women who want to aspire to do more things in ministry and in leadership?
The first thing is listening to the voice of the Lord. If God has given you a desire, listen. Be prayerful. Prepare yourself academically and practically. Praying alone is not enough, although the spiritual side is very important. But God has given people talents. And if He gives you the desire to pray and to sing, and He makes you able to do these things, surely He will make you also a counselor. He will help you, and you go to school. There are lots and lots of opportunities. The world is open wide to training, teaching and training. Apply yourself. Be friendly. Be that kind of a person that someone wants to be with. The kind of a person that someone wants to talk to. And be a good example, both in your life, your self-presentation, and your spiritual life. And I'm sure God will guide you all the way.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Arnold, who I affectionately call Mom. I'm so proud to have been raised in a home of prayer and courage to walk in obedience. And you and Dad, are considered my personal heroes and example for my wife and I to walk in those footsteps. And we're just so grateful for you sharing some of your story. And I'm so grateful that you would also share it with our audience. So guys, this is a special Mother's Day edition of Conversations with Selwyn. I hope it's been an encouragement to you. Share it with your mothers. Share it with anyone in your church. Young women who have a desire to all women who have a desire to be used of the Lord. This is going to bless them. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Conversations with Selwyn.